What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the 2022 Subaru Ascent Touring. Now I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the way right up front. There are no significant changes to the 2022 Subaru Ascent outside of the addition of the Onyx Trim, which we don't actually have one yet, but as soon as we get one on the lot, I will be making a video on it. It's just an appearance package that adds on to the features found on the premium trim. Gives it like some black wheels and some, additional accents on the front grille and things like that to make it a little bit more sporty, stealthy, aggressive, all that kind of good stuff. I'll have some pictures on screen so you can see. But again, as far as going from 2021 to 2022, no significant changes outside of the addition of that trim, but we'll still be taking a look at every single thing that you have here on the 2022 Subaru Ascent top of the line touring trim. So starting up front, you have a very traditional looking Subaru front grille, Ascent front grille, nothing we haven't seen before. Big old Subaru badge, a little bit of a chrome accent, black, very simple grille, no, hexagonal patterns or anything, just some straight across lines here. It looks clean, very premium. You have the 180-degree front-facing camera, LED steering responsive headlights right here with high beam assist, and you have some DRLs as well. Fog lights down up underneath, a little bit of plastic splitter, ground effects at the bottom, a little bit of a chrome accent here, but again, it's very minimal, not in a bad way, but just kind of more premium. You only have one engine option under the hood of the 2022 Subaru Ascent, and that is a 2.4-liter turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine, 260 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque, 26 miles per gallon highway, 20 miles per gallon city. And you have this beautiful autumn green metallic, which is by far one of my favorite colors on any Subaru model, so I love having it here on the Ascent as well. Moving on back, you do have 20-inch aluminum alloy wheels here. These are a two-tone machined finish wheel. They look fantastic. As always with Subarus, you've got the plastic cladding around the wheel wells here, kind of runs the length of the vehicle as well, has a little bit of a chrome accent at the bottom. Satin mirror caps here with integrated turn signals. They are power folding, heated, blind spot monitoring built in, the whole nine. Chrome trim around the windows. Up top, you do have roof rails with the built-in crossbars right there and a panoramic sunroof that runs all the way to the back of the vehicle. Satin door handles here with your keyless access as well. And of course, every Ascent here has EyeSight driver assist standard. Now this has a ton of safety features, forward collision warning, emergency automatic braking, lane keeping, lane departure warning, all those kind of goodies. You also have adaptive cruise control. So lots of awesome features with the EyeSight driver assist system, which is what Subaru is famous for. Now moving to the back of the Ascent here, again, nothing has really changed since 2021, but you do have some nice taillights here. A little bit of a chrome splitter that runs across the back of the tailgate here. Subaru badge, standard rear vision camera as well. More plastic cladding, parking sensors dotted around. You do have your towing hitch behind this plastic piece here, so you can remove that nice and easy. Get 5,000 pounds of towing capacity. Subaru badging, symmetrical all-wheel drive badging, Ascent badging, touring badging, rear wiper, a little bit of a spoiler to keep stuff off the back windshield. You do have a power liftgate, of course, and it has a button here. You can close it as well as a locking button. So if you want to lock the entire car when you're walking away, decent cargo space back here with the third row up. This is, of course, a 3-row SUV. So with that third row up, you're going to get a little bit of cargo space, about 17.5 cubic feet. But if you go ahead and fold those seats down as well as the front seats, you can get up to 86 cubic feet of cargo space. So lots of flexibility there. As always, I'll have all dimensions on screen for your cargo capacity, but you've got some nice cargo nets back here, all weather floor mats back here, of course, 12-volt outlet. You've got some lights back here, some hooks. Up underneath here, you do have a cargo shade, and then you've got some tools up under there as well. Then you have these little tabs you can pull to lean your seats back, as well as put them all the way down. We'll take a look at the back seat in just a bit, but you do have, again, like I said, a decent amount of cargo space back here, even with those third row seats up. All right, so hopping inside of this beautiful cabin from Subaru, you are greeted with a leather wrapped steering wheel, some contrast stitching, some contrast leather accents, some faux wood grain, all kinds of good stuff. Now, I'm not a big fan of faux wood grain, but the way it's utilized here in the Ascent, I think is actually very premium looking. So we're gonna cover all of it right now. But again, like I said, leather wrapped heated steering wheel here, some contrast stitching. You have your media controls on the left side of the steering wheel and your adaptive cruise control and lane centering controls on the right side. Heated steering wheel button on the back, and then your buttons to control your little center console display right there. Paddle shifters on the back, lights, wiper controls. Nothing crazy. It is a manually tilting and telescoping steering wheel right here with this little lever up underneath. Past the steering wheel, you do have 2 analog gauges still. You do have a color cluster in the center that allows you to change some of your safety systems, see your adaptive cruise control, what gear you're in, things like that. But it's nothing crazy. Subaru hasn't really pushed the limit as far as their displays go. They're still kind of stuck with a mostly analog display on all their vehicles. But since the new Solterra is coming out relatively soon in the next couple of years, I wouldn't be surprised if Subaru starts to move their way over to some fully digital displays, which I think would be really nice. But you do have some buttons over here on the left. You have your trunk height button, you have your memory control button for the trunk height, you have your brightness for your display clusters, you have your blind spot monitoring, your traction control, you can turn all that off. So you've got that little cluster in front, and then you have a little display up top as well. That'll give you some different vehicle information, as well as like Sirius XM radio stuff, navigation a little bit, safety system stuff, and then you can also view your 180-degree front-facing camera on that display by hitting view here, and boom, it will pop right up. Again, it's very low res, it's pretty small, so it's not crazy practical, but you have it nonetheless. And over to the right, you have this little section here that will show you every single seat in this entire vehicle and whether they're buckled in or not, and that includes the middle seat in the very back row. All the seats are shown there, which is super helpful for kids, making sure that they stay buckled in, which is extremely important. Let's move up here real quick. Universal HomeLink garage door controls, but it also is a rear view mirror camera, and that camera is in the back windshield up at the top. You go ahead and flick this little thing, it turns into a camera, and you can see everything that camera sees back there, and you can adjust it using these buttons right here. So this is the only Subaru vehicle that has this rear view mirror camera. I'm not sure why exactly they haven't put it on the Outback or anything like that, but for now, just the Ascent, but I would assume we may see it going forward. Little sunglasses holder, as well as a little rear view, mirror here. So if you wanna leave this as the camera and then use this to see the back row, you can do that. And then you've got your panoramic sunroof controls right here. You can turn off your lane keeping assist and your forward collision warning right there. If we move on down, you do have an 8-inch Starlink infotainment center. This is their most recent one. It has built-in navigation from TomTom as well, which is not super responsive, but again, not the worst system I've ever used. Phone, Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM radio, Subaru Starlink. Like I said, built-in navigation. You do have access to that rear vision camera as well. And you do have those adaptive lines, as well as rear automatic braking and those parking sensors like I mentioned outside. For all the people that still like physical media, you do have a CD slot right here. I'm not sure how much longer that'll be around, but you've got one there. I think this is more of a family vehicle, so they're kind of keeping that as an option. And you have some physical controls for your Starlink system. Moving on down from that, you have your tri-zone climate control system, so independently syncing for driver, passenger, and rear seat passengers. The rear seat also has their own climate control system, so they can control it, or you can control it however you want it to be. That's all adjustable right here. You have your ventilated seat button for driver and passenger, heated seat for driver and passenger. Up underneath, you have a little bit of a pad and then a 12-volt outlet, 2 USB-A ports right here, and a 3.5mm jack. X mode and your auto vehicle hold button. Moving on back, you have your high torque Lineartronic CVT right here with a manual mode, of course, with the paddle shifters, 2 cup holders, electronic parking brake. Not a whole lot going on right here in the center console area, which I actually don't mind at all. I think it looks pretty clean. I like how big the electronic parking brake is. It's kind of funny. But you do have some of that faux wood grain, but it's kind of more of a plasticky texture when you really feel it. But again, it doesn't look bad because it's so dark that it kind of blends in with everything. Leather wrap shift knob here, it feels nice. Moving on back, you have a little bit of a leather material here on your center console with some accent stitching. Up underneath, little tray for coins and whatnot. Nice deep pocket, but no additional ports. But again, huge pocket for storage. Inside the glove box, nothing else different. It is a felt-lined glove box though, but no additional ports or anything like that. No storage up underneath on the sides here, which is a little bit interesting for a family car. Typically they'll try and put some pockets or something here, but nothing there. So you'll have to put your extra kids stuff in here or in the glove box. You do also have a 14-speaker Harman Kardon premium audio system here on the Ascent. Now, as far as seating surfaces go, you do have these leather appointed seats. These are kind of a black leather appointed seat here, perforations for your ventilation. Heated and ventilated. Driver's a 10-way power adjustable seat with 2-way position memory, and you do also have a power passenger seat. Now, as far as cabin materials go, I kind of touched on everything already. You kind of have some soft touch rubber at the top, contrast stitching as well. Now, around the gauges and vents and infotainment center, you have a brushed satin look, a little bit of black plastic, and then over on the sides, you have this faux wood grain on the door panels. and on the center console here. And then you have this ivory colored leatherette material as well with contrast stitching. Everything from like the knees down though is kind of a hard touch plastic. So you're not gonna really need to worry about it getting damaged or anything like that. You do have a push button start as well as the remote start on the key fob here on the Touring. The same kind of materials run to the second and third rows, so let's go ahead and hop back there. Take a look at this area back here. So this seat's pretty far back actually, and I've got decent leg room. I'm about 6'1", maybe an inch or two as far as knee room. I can tuck my feet up underneath. Of course, I could scoot this seat forward or backward if need be. It's actually all the way back here, but this seat could come up a little bit. It's pretty far back. But you do have some nice handles here to kind of lean these second row captain's chairs back and forth, as well as easily slide them forward and back if you're trying to get out of the third row. Vents here as well for that rear climate control. Entire rear climate control console right here. 2 USB-A ports and a 120 volt full-size outlet right there as well. And then you have 2 cup holders that fold down right here. Speaking of cup holders, I've talked about this before. I've made a jokey video about it before. The Ascent has 19 cup holders, which is actually an insane number. You can see 1 here, there's 2 there, there's 2 there, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 up front. I've lost track. There's 19 of them. Just trust me, I made a video on it before. I'll have a clip here on screen. But tons of cup holders. You'll never run out of space for your beverages or other gizmos and gadgets. You also have a map pocket here if you want to put some stuff back here. Same kind of design on the door panels as well, with the faux wood grain, the ivory leather, the perforated, and then the black leatherette material with the accent stitching. Harman Kardon speaker down below, and you do have these little sunshades on the windows as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at getting into the back row here. So you're going to, it actually gives you steps right here. So you can just, number 1, pull this handle down, and number 2, grab this, and it will fold all the way down, and then you can slide it forward. So I will say this about the Ascent, they do not make it as easy to get in as some other models. That kind of fling the whole seat forward and things like that, like the Hyundai Palisade that we've looked at on this channel before. But once you do get in here, it's not entirely uncomfortable. You do need to lean the seats back a little bit, maybe move these headrests up if you're a little bit taller like I am. And then let's slide this seat back into place here, just to show you guys kind of what the leg room is that you're dealing with. Yeah, so again, I'm 6'1", and my knees are up against this thing, pushing up against it. So I would actually have to have the second row dude or dudette scoot forward a little bit, because I definitely, I have no room back here. I'm completely cramped. You wouldn't want to be back here for a long time if you're a full-size adult. If you're a child, you'll be just fine. You're gonna fit fine. But you do have a speaker back here, a couple more cup holders. Over on this side, you have 2 USB-A ports for charging, things like that. You do have vents back here so you can get access to the heating or the cooling, whatever you need. You have a middle seat here as well, so you could technically fit 3 people back here. I would probably prefer to be in the middle seat if I'm back here, because I can at least put my legs forward. But again, this is a family SUV, so you're putting little kids back here. You're not expecting full-size adults to be back here. For good reason. All right, let's take the Ascent here for a little bit of a test drive. Now again, we're not testing this for performance or anything like that. It's more about, you know, ride comfort, stability, things like that. And we'll do a little acceleration test just for fun, but you know, that's not really what it's about. Let's get a start up. Again, like I said, 2.4 liter turbocharged. Boxer engine, 260, 277, 26 highway, 20 city. And really all you want out of something like this is to feel powerful enough to keep this thing moving, right? So let's get a little acceleration here. So there, obviously it's a CVT, so there's a little bit of a delay. And by a little bit, I mean like 3 seconds, but you do kind of get going once it actually engages and starts moving. It's a Subaru, so the brakes are very, very sticky. I like that. Ease of use of the infotainment center, as you'd expect with something like Subaru. It's very simple. You know, the display is responsive. I don't know how much people actually use the built-in infotainment displays. I had a Subaru for 3 years and I used mine for Apple CarPlay, and that is about it. Some people may use built-in navigation. I've just never been one of them. So if you guys use the built-in nav, let me know in the comments down below, because I'm always interested in how many people actually use this stuff. But you know, using built-in Bluetooth for, you know, listening to music, talking on the phone. I know a lot of people that do that. My wife has a Subaru, she does that. So having that nice and far away from the steering wheel so you don't have any weird interactions with bumping into the steering wheel. And then, you know, just having a clean, simple system is really beneficial, and Subaru has always had that. It's always been one of the cleaner systems out on the market, period. Now let's talk about visibility, because again, that's another thing that's very important in a family vehicle, because you're gonna have this thing loaded up with kids or, you know, moving stuff, things like that, and you need the best visibility possible. And again, this is a pretty decent size SUV. It's not small by any means. And the front windshield is massive. No issues with visibility there whatsoever. No real blind spots. All the windows here have little pocket windows on them, so you can see everything. As far as into the back row, again, if you're using that rear view mirror camera, you can pop this little mirror thing down and get access to be able to see the back row, which I think actually works really well. Because I would mainly use that rear view mirror camera more so than I would just a standard rear view mirror. So using that is really nice and adds a level of visibility that you wouldn't have otherwise. And then since you do have the car full of kids or full of boxes and full of gear and things like that, you do need that extra visibility out the back window. And so to eliminate that risk, you just put a camera there that points out back. Now, it's not the most high-res camera I've ever seen, but by any means, Subaru, you know, they're not any different than any other manufacturer where they just don't have the best cameras, and I'm not sure why they haven't upgraded them, but it exists nonetheless if you need it, and I would definitely use it more often than not. Go ahead and do our adaptive cruise control as well. So you can see up here when it's active, it gives you some graphics there showing you that it is active. And then I've got it set on 55, so it's gonna keep me a decent amount of space away from this vehicle, and it's supposed to, you know, do a good job of keeping in the center of the lane, and the wheel will probably turn a little bit as well. Yeah, you can see it kind of pulled me back into the lane there a little bit. As far as overall ride quality, I'd say it's extremely smooth. No issues there, but I'll definitely say it does feel larger than it actually is. You can take that as a positive or a negative. Really up to you guys what you want out of your vehicle. But it doesn't feel unresponsive. Like the steering is still very responsive. The braking acceleration is responsive. So it does feel larger than it actually is, but it still feels responsive and nimble. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. Definitely test drive it if you guys don't like larger feeling vehicles. But I think if you need a third row SUV to carry kids around and you love the Subaru brand, the Ascent is a great choice. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Drop a like on the video if you loved it. Tell me in the comments down below, what is your favorite feature of this beautiful autumn green metallic 2022 Subaru Ascent Touring? Let's have a conversation down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be among the first to see every single new video the second I hit publish. We'll see you in the next one.